Good morning, my name is Avery Masson.
I'm Kay Norman.
And I'm Lily Ware.
Still no.
The other arrow. Is it on?
No.
Turn it on. Now try it. All right, there we go. Just keep going. That'll be great on tape.
The Renaissance was a period of rebirth, of cultural, artistic, political, and economic rebirth following the Middle Ages. The Renaissance saw to the movement of humanistic ideas, and which was created by Francesco Petrarca, who was considered to be the first modern writer of his time, and his writings no longer tied to religion. The attitudes of the 15th century evolved because people started questioning the meaning of art, the roles of patrons shifted, and religious implications behind everything was adjusted. Leonardo da Vinci was a very famous artist of his time who became known for his expressive works. He especially became famous through the Mona Lisa when historians started questioning the why and how she was created, whether she was famous, like an actual real life portrait of Lisa Gerardini, or if she was just a fragment of Leonardo da Vinci's imagination, or of the ideal woman. And she's different because instead of wearing, like from famous nobility, wearing a bunch of fancy clothes, she wore plain robes, and then they were asking about her smile, if she was smiling, frowning, looking off in the distance, etc. The Vitruvian Man was a pivotal artwork from his time because it was the ideal form of the human. And he was iconic because his arms signified the superimposed positions with his arms and legs in the circle inscribed inside of it, and he was a signal, the symbol of harmony and the epitome of perfection.
The Medici family. So in that picture is Cosimo de' Medici, who's also known as Cosimo the Elder. He was the head of the family, and because of him, the Medici raised their power and wealth due to banking and commerce. In these pictures, you can see the Medici house, and their house was filled with art such as paintings, statues, and portraits. And so they would use their house as like a court where they would do business, ceremonies, and family events. Different societal views of society. So in this picture is Artemisia Genticelli, and she was a female painter during the time, and so her role in society was like painting and empowering women in society, since their like role wasn't major and they were overlooked. And so one of her most famous painting where Judith is killing Holofernes is right here because he raped her, and so she decided to get payback, and so she decided to behead him in that painting. And so most of her paintings are where she's empowering women. And that picture up there at the top, that's Michelangelo, and he's known for his religious artworks and a new technique of art called bueno fresco. And so that was like a 3D version of art as a painting though. And so the bottom is Niccolo Machiavelli, and he was known for his work, The Prince. And so his like views were also political and really upward.
The increase in religion within society eventually led to religious art being developed by some of the greatest artists of the time. The religious pieces are now considered to be some of the best pieces of art of the Renaissance time period. Here we can see the Last Supper, illustrated by Leonardo da Vinci, who is now one of the best artists of the time. So we see that Jesus is having his last meal before his crucifixion, which is derived from the the Bible, a religious scripture. The Sistine Chapel was one of the biggest projects of the time. It was illustrated by Michelangelo, and it was commissioned by the Pope, who instructed Michelangelo into the painting and what he painted and how he did it. And then on the west wall we can see the Last Judgment, which was derived from the book of Genesis, a religious scripture about the return of Christ. And here we can see the painting on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, the creation of Adam, also painted by Michelangelo. This was also from the book of Genesis, which showed man coming close to God, showing their relation and how similar they are. And then the resolution of our group was that people didn't understand the details behind artwork. Most patrons were interested in flaunting their wealth. The support of wealthy patrons enabled the artist to explore new styles and techniques. And the famous paintings were focused around religion. The impacts of that were that the Renaissance left a lasting impact on art, religion, and society. In art, it brought humanism, innovation, technique, diverse subject, and patronage. In religion, it conceded the Reformation and Counter-Reformation, producing significant religious arts. And in society, it fostered intellectual growth, individualism, and social mobility, reshaping the cultural landscape.
Thank you.
All right, let me get a question for each of you. I'm just gonna start with Lily and work our way down so Lily can get through this with her voice. Because you guys have a small group, Lily, if you would have had a fourth member of your group, what additional perspective could they have brought in that would have added to your presentation?
They could have added something about economics, about how because NK talked about the Medici family and they were bankers. They could have talked about the economics of why all of the money was super important.
All right. Now you got me wanting to do it. Next up, let's see. Is there anything from their work or even your work that you decided not to include in your presentation, and if so, why?
Between both of them, NK and Lily, Lily mentioned some negatives of the Medici family, so we decided to exclude that because it would counteract what NK said.
Okay. And last up, reflecting on the work of your colleagues, which one had the greatest impact of your understanding of the Renaissance?
I think Ibrahim's, because religious was one of the big reasons on why the Renaissance started in the beginning.